everybody. I'm Dr. Swati Chakraborty, platform moderator for Web Platform for Dialogue. And today it's our great opportunity to hear Carmel Aqeel. She is from Iraq. She is a consultant, trainer, and academic teacher. She is expert for the GVP, PSS, PFA, Early Childhood Development, Women and Minority Affairs, Life Skill, and Conflict Resolutions. She is a member of Network of Iraqi Facilitator. She worked with different international NGOs and also a part of UNESCO, NPA, UNFPA, and other United Nations organizations. She is academic lecturer in social planning, urban and rural sociology, educational planning and anthropology in the Department of Sociology and Spatial Planning in University of Duhok, Iraq. So I welcome Carmel for this wonderful session on the Baha'i institutions in this time of pandemic and how the Baha'i as an institution is doing a wonderful job to train the people and how to utilize this pandemic scenario. I welcome Carmel, my wonderful friend from Iraq, for today's webinar series.
Thank you, dear Swati. It is really my honor to be here today in your platform. And as I told you, you are the only platform attracting me to join webinars. Thank you. Really, really, it is my honor to be part of your highly humanitarian platform. Thank you. And I will start now my presentation, as we agreed that the presentation will be on the Baha'i institutionalization during COVID-19 pandemic. Actually, I started the presentation by mentioning who are the Baha'is, what Baha'is believe in. The Baha'i institutions get the guidelines from the two letters of the Universal House of Justice, the procedures of the National Spiritual Assembly, Regional Council, and Local Spiritual Assembly. These titles are going to be included in my presentation. The first thing I'd like to start the presentation with is words from Baha'u'llah that guides our action and guides the Baha'i institution performance. Let your vision be world-embracing. Baha'u'llah. So, who are the Baha'is? Throughout history, God has sent to humanity a series of divine educators known as manifestations of God, whose teachings have provided the basis for the advancement of civilization. Baha'u'llah, the latest of these messengers, explained that the religions of the world come from same source and are in essence successive chapters of one religion from God. Baha'is believe the crucial need facing humanity is to find a unifying vision of the future of society and of the nature and purpose of life. Such a vision unfolds in the writings of Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah saying, He who is your Lord, all the merciful, cherisheth in his heart the desire of beholding the entire human race as one soul and one body. So, here I'm just selecting the Baha'i principles that are the guidelines for the Baha'i actions. Baha'i beliefs address such essential themes as the oneness of God, oneness of religion, oneness of humanity, freedom from prejudice, the inherent nobility of the human being, the progressive revelation of religious truth, the development of spiritual qualities, the integration of worship and service, the fundamental equality of the sexes, the harmony between religion and science, the centrality of justice to all human endeavors, the importance of education, and the dynamics of the relationships that are to bind together individuals, communities, and institutions as humanity advances towards its collective maturity. So, O you children of men, the fundamental purpose animating the faith of God and his religion is to safeguard the interests and promote the unity of the human race and to foster the spirit of love and fellowship amongst men. Whatsoever is raised on this foundation, the changes and chances of the world can never impair its strength, nor will the revolution of countless countries undermine its structure. Baha'u'llah. A pivotal concept in the Baha'i teachings is that the refinement of one's inner character and service to humanity are inseparable facets of life. This twofold purpose helps to shape the endeavors of Baha'is in all over areas. This was just a short introduction about who are the Baha'is and what the Baha'is believe in. So, starting with the Baha'i institutions, these words from the Universal House of Justice, the higher body in the institution, they are saying that as institutions of the faith gain experience, they become increasingly adept at offering assistance, resources, encouragement, loving guidance to appropriate initiatives, at consulting freely and harmoniously among themselves and with people they serve, and at channeling individual and collective energies towards the transformation of society. This is, in short, the work of the Baha'i institutions as described by the Universal House of Justice. So, here we can see the administrative order. The affairs of the Baha'i community are administered through a system of institutions, each with its defined sphere of action. The origins of this system, known as the Baha'i administrative order, are found in the writings of Baha'u'llah himself. So here in this diagram, you can see the administrative order of the Baha'is. Today, the Universal House of Justice is the central governing body of the administrative order. Under its guidance, elected bodies known as local spiritual assemblies and national spiritual assemblies tend to the affairs of the Baha'i community at their respective levels, exercising legislative, executive, and judicial authority, each on its level. An institution of appointed individual of a proven capacity, the institution of the counselors also functions under the guidance of the Universal House of Justice and exerts influence on the life of the Baha'i community from the grassroots to the international level. The members of this institution encourage action, foster individual initiative, and promote learning within the Baha'i community as whole, in addition to offering advice to spiritual assemblies. This is the other part of the institutions, which is the counselors. Acting in their respective roles, the institutions of the counselors and the spiritual assemblies share responsibility for the protection and propagation of the Baha'i faith. The harmonious interaction between them ensure the constant provision of guidance, love, encouragement to members of the Baha'i community throughout the world. Together, they invigorate individual and collective efforts to contribute to the well-being of society. So these two parts are working together. Baha'i administrative order is intended to serve as a channel through which the spirit of the faith is to flow, embodying in its operation the kind of relationships that must come to bind together and sustain society as humanity moves towards collective maturity. It is the structure of his new world order now stirring in the womb of the administrative institutions he himself has created that will serve both as a pattern and a nucleus of that world commonwealth, which is the inevitable destiny of the people and nations of the earth. Shawki Effendi. Now we will move to the local spiritual assemblies. Whenever in any locality the number of Baha'is resident therein who have attained the age of 21 exceeds 9, these shall on the first day of April, on the first day of Ridwan, which is the 21st of April, convene and elect a local administrative body of 9 members to be known as the spiritual assembly of the Baha'is of that locality. The national spiritual assemblies, whenever it is decided by the Universal House of Justice to form in any country or region a national spiritual assembly, the voting members of the Baha'i community of that country or region shall, in a manner and at a time to be decided by the Universal House of Justice, elect their delegates to their national convention. These delegates shall in turn elect in the manner provided in the National Baha'i Constitution a body of 9 members to be known as the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of that country or region. The Regional Baha'i Council. The expansion of the Baha'i community and the growing complexity of the issues which are facing national spiritual assemblies in certain countries have brought the cause to a new stage in its development. We have reached the conclusion that the time has arrived for us to formalize a new element of Baha'i administration between the local and national levels, comprising institutions of a special kind to be designated as Regional Baha'i Council. This decision came from the Universal House of Justice. That was just an introduction about the Baha'i religion and the Baha'i institutions in summary. So, in this time of COVID-19, the Baha'i community received more than one letter, but the most important ones that guided the work of the institutions are the letters of Nowruz, which is on March 21st, and the letter of Ridwan, which is on April 21st, so a month between the two. Through these lines from the universal body of the Baha'i institutions, the action of the institutions was formulating and is still getting guidelines from this institution in this time of the coronavirus. So the first thing which was obvious in the letter of Nowruz, which is on 177, which is 177 years for the Baha'i religion, the age of the religion, it was obvious that this letter was earlier than it was supposed to be, a month, because in each year the Baha'is are receiving a letter in 21st of April. But because of the situation this year, the Baha'i community received a letter a month before its time. So the things which were apparent in that letter, which guided the steps of the institutions in all its respected levels, that first it started with mentioning that worldwide fearful health crisis. The first time the Baha'i institution mentioning this was on March. And these consequences of this crisis can't be predicted. I'm selecting these points from the letters. The other point that it reveals the concern over the life of humanity, especially those who are more vulnerable, emphasizing the importance of unity. Essential efforts are needed, the effect on the administration. And there is a quotation of Abdul Baha inside this letter saying, "In a day such as this, when the tempest of trials and tribulations have encompassed the world, and fear and trembling have agitated the planet, you must rise above the horizon of firmness and steadfastness with illuminated faces and radiant brows in such wise that, God willing, the gloom of fear and concentration may be entirely obliterated, and the light of assurance may dawn above the manifest horizon and shine resplendently." The attributes that are required at this time from the institutions, from the community, from the individuals: unity and fellow feeling, knowledge and understanding, a spirit of collective worship and common endeavor. What to do in circumstances in this letter? Through having to adapt to new circumstances, the believers have used creative means to strengthen bonds of friendship and to foster among themselves and those known to them spiritual consciousness and the qualities of tranquility, confidence, and reliance on God. The elevated conversations that have occurred as a result, whether remotely or in a person, have been a source of comfort and inspiration to many. Such efforts on your part provide a valuable service at this hour when many souls are perplexed and dismayed, unsure of what will be. That was a quotation from the letter. Other quotations: "It is difficult and hard, but sure humanity will pass it and emerge on the other side with a greater insight and deep appreciation of the inherent oneness." For now, our thoughts and our prayers are focused on the health and well-being of all the friends of God and all those among whom you dwell. We pray earnestly also for the Almighty to bestow upon you assurance, stamina, and staunch spirits. May your minds be ever bent upon the needs of the communities to which you belong, the conditions of the societies in which you live, and the welfare of the entire family of humanity, to whom you are all brothers and sisters. This was quotations and insights from this letter, which guided the friends, the Baha'i community, and the institutions. And we will see through the action of the institutions after that the guidelines of these effects and how each institutions followed according to its respective sphere. The other letter is the letter of Ridwan, 21st of April. So a month between those two letters. In this letter, the Universal House of Justice is saying that now two emerging realities have prompted us to address these words. First one, growing consciousness around the world of the looming and appalling dangers carried by coronavirus pandemic. Waves of suffering and sorrow are breaking over one place after the another and will weaken different nations at different moments in different ways. That was the first point mentioned in the letter. The second point is the resilience and undiminished vitality of the Baha'i world in the face of challenge which has no likeness in living memory. So this was really a strong sentence for me as a researcher. What they are mentioning after that? So, learning from the experience gained in other parts of the world, some communities have found safe and creative ways to raise awareness of public health requirements within population. Special attention is being paid to those who are most at risk from the virus and the economic hardship arising from its spread. The initiative featured on the Baha'i World News Service in this regard are but a mere handful of the countless numbers underway. So here also they are mentioning the economic hardship arising from its spread. So it is not just focusing on the health crisis as an health issue, but also on the economic hardship. Then it is mentioned that at each dawn it seems certain that more agonies will be endured before the set of sun. May the promise of reunion in the eternal realms offer solace to those who lose loved ones. So that was a sad reality, but it guided more the work of the institutions. So I will just give some examples of the institutions in Iraq which they took these guidelines from these two letters and from other letters came afterward, just giving the guidelines for the institutions. So the first thing was done within the institutions, that being closer with the community more than before according to this situation. So there was a continuous meeting between the National Spiritual Assembly and the local assemblies through their secretaries. On the same time, it just condensed the work by supporting the role of the local institutions by continuous communication with local assemblies and the councils. The other thing, that adjusting the convention of this year with the health safety measures to keep the administrative order, that every year the National Spiritual Assembly need to be elected. So this year, the election, the meetings, everything was different because it didn't happen in a person. All the social media were used just to make this thing happen and to make sustainability for these administrative bodies. So this year, everything was changed according to these issues, and the priority became just first for the health measures. But on the same time, the National Spiritual Assembly just worked with the community to encourage the activities, which was used to be, but now they need to continue them, but in another way. The educational procedure of the children, the livelihood of the Baha'i community and their friends, offering a continuous spiritual support by sharing the guidance that gives hope, assurance, and tranquility, continuous letters to work on raising health awareness, encouraging the continuity of the core activities which were used to be, because they used to have core activities as study circles, devotional meetings, children classes, junior youth groups. So there was a trials, a hard work to make this thing continue in this hard situation, but taking the safety measurements in mind. On the same time, the capacity building on the local assemblies by continuous cooperation and coordination. On the same time, with the local assemblies, they worked on raising the health awareness by forming a national medical team, working directly with the friends in their geographic areas by weekly meetings using the social media channels. Also affording the direct medical help to the sick friends by affording medical needs or by medical consultation. Special care and follow-up for the vulnerable who are most at risk. Sharing experiences of the friends through the monthly newsletters. So that was a hard work. I just tried to summarize it of the institution during these months. That everything was just sustained, was going on, but using the social media channels to keep these guidelines going to the Baha'i community. And these are just pictures of the activities of the meetings, of the medical group activities which they were continuously working on. On the same time, trying to respond to the spiritual and material needs of the community, adjusting activities to fit within the current situation, and finally supporting the friends to take on the chance in participating in building the promised civilization. That today the Baha'i community is considering this as a chance to serve humanity, to take part in helping humanity overcome this pandemic. And these are just pictures of the activities which in some places where the pandemic was not big as other places, so they were doing it in the field, but taking the health measures in their mind. The other level of institution, the Baha'i Council. The practical steps done by the Baha'i Council, and of course I want to mention that there was a harmonious, continuous cooperation and coordination between all the institutions in all its levels all the time. So the Baha'i Council did continuous follow-up to the health, social, and economic situation in the region through different methods. Continuous meeting with local spiritual assemblies in the region to follow up the situation in their geographic areas, to be ready for affording the help in the appropriate time for the community. Encouraging them to work on health requirement as protection, awareness, and help in need for this critical time. Working on sustaining the community activities, but keeping in mind the health safety as a priority. Through the devotional meetings, inspiring the community to be more helpful and more optimistic. The economic crisis, which also the Baha'i Council in Kurdistan region worked on. Creating special donation initiative to support people in need because of the coronavirus situation and its economic consequences. Also encouraging the local communities to work on local initiatives in their neighborhoods to get people donate for the poor families in their areas as means of socio-economic support between the families themselves. Also assigning medical team in the region of Kurdistan to afford awareness for the people and medical consultation for those infected. Assigning a special team to afford the needs for the infected families because they cannot go out to get their needs. Now reaching to the grassroots, the local spiritual assembly in my city where I am living in. Of course, I am taking this an example of other institutions which I'm sure they are doing similar job, but in different areas and in different creative ways. So the local assembly in my area, as a priority demand to safety requirement of the friends and as coping with the lockdown situation, the community meetings stopped but changed to be virtual meetings using the social media means. Also, the local community members were engaged in study circles, devotionals, and core activities. The election system was done in a different way as recommended by the Universal House of Justice and the National Spiritual Assembly, that this year the election of this assembly wasn't done by person. It was done in a different way to keep the safety, the health safety of the members. On the same time, continuous, harmonious consultation with the other institutions to stand on the best ways to support the friends in health and economy. Also, as part of the local assembly plan for the response to the health crisis, there was an emergency plan prepared by the assembly to help the friends in coping with this crisis. So this emergency plan was just done to assign the people and the ways to deal with something if it is going to happen in the community. The assembly is continuous in following up the health and economic situation of the friends, on the same time ready to afford the needed help in both sides, in health and economy. So that was the work of the local assemblies, and these pictures are just from the activities done. On the same time, encouraging the youth who are doing individual activities, supporting their communities, whether by donating some food items or by affording health awareness. And finally, a continuous devotional meetings praying for the betterment of the humanity. So, this was in short, I tried just to summarize everything. This was in short how the institutions in Iraq just coped with the situation of the virus. And I just summarized it. And if you have any question, you need any clarification, I'm ready. I know I went just too quick to keep on the time.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. You can stop your screen now to present. So
Yeah.
stop presentation. We have actually one question from Vibhash Neogi.
Okay.
Is Sharaf Muqbil related to beloved Ridwan Muqbil? Number
Yes.
one,
Yes, she is.
beloved former NSA member and ABM in the UK. That's the
Yes.
question from Vibhash.
Yes, she is my mother, Sharaf Mokbel, and he is my uncle, passed away uncle.
I would really, really love to hear from Mr. Niyogi if you would like to share something. So we can hear directly from you.
Yeah.
Hello? Vibhash Niyogi, are you there with us? Okay. So for me, it's like illuminating discussion from you. When I was in Delhi in 2015, I'm telling you a journey how I came to know about Baha'u'llah and Baha'i religion. I was in Delhi and as a visitor, I visited the Lotus Temple in New Delhi. It was like wonderful, marvelous tourist place in India, first of all, particularly in Delhi. But when I actually entered into the praying room, the prayer room, it was wonderful. It was miraculous experience and lifetime changing experience for me. I can actually relate how to pray with a inner voice and with a very calm and quietly, without any kind of prejudice, irrespective of any other religion, because I'm from Hinduism. So people would have some prejudice that as a Hindu, you may not able to enter into the Upasana Griha, we would like to say the prayer room of other religion. But I never felt excluded. So I'm really, really happy to be there. And I was praying with my own God from Hinduism. It was really a wonderful time for me. Half an hour I was there entering into the Lotus Temple. So after listening your presentation, I can relate actually that what other religion is doing, similar thing is doing by the religion. So I think all the religious people, if they are truly spiritual, I think they are thinking in a similar way. The wavelength of each and every spiritual person is going in a similar way. That's what I feel strongly and believe on that. So thank you so much, Carmel, for this eye-opening talk on this. From Firdaus Malik, we have one question. How inclusive are Baha'is' efforts for welfare of target population? Under Baha'is' approach, is it possible to achieve full-flagged development of particular communities?
You know, for the Baha'is, they are not just working with the Baha'i communities. They are working for their communities. So they are inclusive, humanitarian inclusive, worldwide inclusive. And if you feel the activities, most of the activities done in my city, because I can tell that the Baha'i members are very small in comparison to the community. So all the activities, it was done with the bigger community. So this is how we just see the things around us. We see ourselves one of all.
So to be all together, not as a community or as an individual, no, not like that. It's kind of a family, extended family for all of us. So thank you so much. And I really come back with Carmel, that how, as an individual, when you actually first came to know about the COVID pandemic, what was your feeling? It's kind of a fear, or you are depressed. What was your, as a individual, not as a Baha'i practitioners or something, but as an individual, as a Carmel, how would you feel that when you first came to know that so many people are being affected and it would be more dangerous? So what was your reaction?
Actually, I'm a human being, as all human beings. So, and sometimes we feel afraid, but on the same time, I come to remember, oh, I will do my best as a health requirement for safety. But on the same time, I'm keeping in my mind that it can happen to anybody of us and can just get us to the worst situation. But I feel that this is an important step for the development of a human civilization. So I'm happy to give any sacrifice just to let humanity overcome this situation now to a better situation, to a unifying situation.
That's right. That's the spirit, actually. Anything could be possible any time. Would be good, bad, worst, whatever can happen. With the state of mind, I think, who have been practicing any religion, any spirituality, if you are calm with your mind, any kind of negativity would be, just vanished with your positive vibes. So that's the spirit. And I think with this positive notes, we have to move on, because, with this, some people would say that it's a new normalcy, or, COVID, COVID era. Before COVID and after COVID, the scenario has been totally changed. So how we
So,
can actually, yes, please,
yes,
tell
I
us
want,
something about this.
yes, I want to tell you something about this. Before COVID, I used to work in a very dangerous areas in Iraq. Just after ISIS departed the north of Iraq, or the west of Iraq, I was from the people selected to go and do some studies there related to protection, not to any political issues. So actually, I felt confidence, I felt tranquility when going there to these places. On the same time, I didn't feel completely safe that I will go and nothing will happen to me. So you know, when you have these two feelings when you go to a place like this, and really that feeling of tranquility gave me such a strength, such positivity to go and do good jobs there. So I think this experience from this work in these dangerous places is really as a vaccine for me, telling me that we are so strong, we can do everything. So the pandemic is just working on all human beings. It's not something special for me.
Right, who have been attached with the humanitarian aspect and humanitarian welfare services. It's like it's quite normal to them, so it's nothing new to them.
Yes.
It's so, I think, who have been into this welfare services for a long time, they can able to understand that how this pandemic is actually creating an impact on other people who are not been into this welfare services, but due to this pandemic only, they are also keeping in mind, and they are also into this humanitarian aspect and welfare services. So that's a very positive side of COVID pandemic. So on a contrary, I'm coming back to you that what would be your futuristic aspect to do some community development program as a whole, not for the only for the Baha'i food, but as a whole. Afterwards, after 4-5 months, when we will expecting our immunity and our vaccination would come around, what would be your contribution towards the community?
Well, actually, I'm not just waiting the vaccination, because now in Iraq they opened up now and work started again. So I'm getting myself ready any moment to start if anything will demand my continuous journey in serving my work. So with a team of experts, a work was started between in a conflict area, liberated from ISIS, having so many conflicts now between the tribes and some religious groups. So a work was started, and the good job was done there. So the plan is just to continue and to finish with these tribes and to formalize the work that was done before the pandemic.
We have one question from Rim, our wonderful friend, and she would like to ask, how do you think the amazing Baha'i efforts has pushed for further organizational efforts in other communities, or even for more exchange with other communities in the region? Number one, do you have any example on this?
So the first question, I didn't get it clearly. The voice was not clear.
Okay, so can you able to see the chat box, because she has been written? Yeah.
Yes, Reem, yes. So the Baha'i organization, yes, did organize the jobs. Now you can see some work is being done by the institutions themselves. On the same time, there are some work is being done by the community and by the individuals. So the role for the institutions, when the individuals or the community is doing a work, is just to encourage them, to support them if they need any encouragement, any support. But you can see this because we have this universal body directing everything. So I'm sure, because I went through this research, I did so many internet searches, I saw very similar activities is being done throughout the world by the institutions, but on different shapes. But this unified body governing all the institutions is just unifying the vision of all the activities done by the institutions. True, it is not something centralized, but the main idea is getting there, and you are free to choose the way just to do it.
Okay. We have one more question from Dr. Aniruddha Burman. Are Baha'i followers still been persecuted?
Sorry?
Are Baha'i followers still being persecuted?
In some areas, yes, but like in Iran, they are persecuted very much. As you know, in Yemen. In Iran, still the persecution is very hard, is very big. Yes, unfortunately. But still, we look for the betterment of humanity.
Yes, yes. I think the minority crisis is everywhere.
Yeah.
Not Iraq, Iran, not India. It's everywhere. All parts of the world, they are facing the issues of minority and persecution, expels. Everything has been happening. So I think it's here, particularly in this web platform for dialogue, what we are trying to promote peace, harmony with a dialogue forum. So let's utilize and use of this pandemic with a positive note. So let's let's with the everywhere so many negativity are going on,
Yeah.
terrorism, conflict,
Yeah.
inner conflict within even within ourselves also. We
Yeah.
are struggling a lot each and
Yeah.
every moment.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Lack of economic support is one of our major issues
Yeah.
nowadays. People are actually losing jobs every moment. So
Yeah.
how to deal with that? So I think that let's utilize this pandemic time and let's have some positivities from around the world,
Yeah.
share some very positive stories like
Yeah.
from you also, that we have a wonderful story from Iraq that persecution has not been there, so it's a positivity. It's a small thing, but it's a positivity.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even in India also, people with the Baha'i religion, they are doing great. So with this positive note, I would really like to have another question from Sharaf Mukbal. I can able to see. So please share some of your thoughts. Can you able to unmute, sir? Yes.
Hi, you can hear me now, right?
How are
Uh,
you?
Thank you very much. I'm so glad to have you to know my brother, dear Ridwan. He was not only my brother, he was also my friend. And we have lost a real great soul. Now, my question is that how the whole community of the world are now responding towards each other. We are not seeing this as we are taking a revenge from somebody to have this for a disease. We are just begging the Almighty that He will look at with His mercy, with His grace, and let us again join together to defeat what we are having inside ourselves with hatred, with these greedy feelings, to be happy together again, to unite for the great harmony of the human race, really. So I just want you to just feel that we are spreading this through the whole world. That's we are hoping that if we can, let us all make it together, work together, love each other, and let us clean our souls from any trace of hatred. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It really means a lot. Carmel, I would like to come back to you with a prayer. I really would like to have a prayer before finishing our today's talk. If we would not have any kind of question. Yes, it's really sad, Dr. Burman. It's really sad. Bab and Badla were been persecuted. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's really a sad part of any thing.
So you would like me to
Yes, Oslam. Oslam, I have some question. Oslam
Yes.
from Turkey. Oslam, wonderful person. Oslam, please ask. You can please unmute yourself and ask directly to Kamal. Oslam, can you able to hear? Hi, Oslam. Can you able to hear me? I think she's having some problem with the mic.
Yes.
No, she's writing something. Okay.
It is not as in Iran.
Okay.
Yes, true. It is not as in Iran. The Baha'i persecution in Iran is really a serious matter, as it is still going on, unfortunately, in these days when all over the world is busy with this pandemic and how to deal with it. The situation there is very bad for the Baha'is.
Oh my goodness. When people are actually being together, being united to struggle with the unknown virus, and they are struggling with the Baha'i people. Okay.
Yeah.
It's really a sad story.
Maybe they don't have the virus in Iran.
Yeah, of course. Okay, with the positivity, let's start a prayer because that's very important for today's meeting. I really would like to have a prayer from you, Carmel.
Okay, it is really my pleasure. Allahumma ya subbuh ya quddus ya rahmanun ya mannan فرج لنا بالفضل والإحسان إنك رحمن منان إنك رحمن منان.
What's the meaning of this? So,
Thank you. Thank you, dear Swati. It was really a wonderful webinar. You are the winner.
my goodness, thank you so much. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
My honor.
It's like I was just trying my best to bring the positivity, that the energy, whatever we left.
All of us need.
Yes, whatever we left after fighting this COVID and everything, the world is suffering. So let's utilize this positive energy, whatever we left with us. So let's spread this positivity and let's grasp something from you. So we will be if 5% energy I have, I will give you the 2%, 3% I have. Then again, you will give me the 2%. So automatically we will be full of energy. And that's what, our entire civilization is struggling and having to. So thank you so much for this. All of the participants are feeling their gratitude to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. Glad to have been with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's really my pleasure. Feedback link already been provided. So I request all of you to please provide your feedback. That is very, very important for my write up and for the speakers, for Carmel also.
Thank you.
Sure.
Honor. It was really my honor. Thank you, dear Swati.
Thank you.
Have a nice night. Have a nice time. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Thank you. It is my honor. It was my pleasure.
We will continue our talk. I know you're very emotional.
Yeah.
I see from your eyes. Thank you. Bye-bye. All of you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye, dear. Thank you very much. See you soon.
See you soon. See you soon.
Inshallah. Okay.